All right, crew, welcome to LA Talks, where we talk everything OCR, we talk ultra running, we talk everything you need to know from first-time racers to experienced runners. If you don't know our next guest, you have not been paying much attention to the world of OCR, or maybe you're just getting started in obstacle course racing. Kevin Donahue is a name as known into this sport as names like Joe DeSena, Lindsey Webster, Ryan Atkins, Hunter McIntyre, all of the Hall of Famers of OCR. Kevin Donahue is among them. Truly, he has been a longtime Spartan pro with more than 177 combined podium appearances and 127 age group victories to his name. Literally, this list could go on and on. A true ambassador to the OCR community worldwide. And above all, I think is a wonderful competitor, really a great person, and someone that Lindsey and I are happy that we get to call him our friend, which is really pretty awesome. So again, without further ado, here is Kevin. Welcome to the show. Give me a little rundown. Who are you? What's going on? How do
And I love your background.
Yeah.
Yeah, first of all, thanks for having me on. And first and foremost, congratulations on the new baby. Proud parents. We had to organize this around nap time, so I appreciate that we can get on together. The background, this is my living room. It kind of turned into a makeshift trophy room because I didn't have places to put stuff. And over the years, I started in Spartan 12 years ago, and you get a medal here, you get a medal there, and it starts going in the room. It's not a big deal. And then as the years go on, it just starts piling up and piling up. So I made a rule that this is the only place in the house where obstacle course racing stuff goes. It doesn't go anywhere else out of the living room. So I'm going to have to build some kind of man cave. What?
Until you run out of space.
I got to build a man cave to stick this stuff in. So it's got to go eventually. It's too much.
Yeah, no, I love it. And let's just kind of get right into it. So, I mean, there's a lot to get to, but we first want to kind of touch base on how recently people might have been reading in the OCR community about how the modern pentathlon international governing body is really setting up for obstacle course racing to replace equestrian, perhaps as soon as the 2028 Summer Olympics. From what we've seen and heard from your adventures all over the world at this point, what is happening? Can you kind of explain where OCR is, where it's going, and really how it might even change the dynamics of how Spartan, Savage, OCR World Championships, terrain races, all of the governing bodies, even nuclear races over in the UK, how is that going to change? Can you just kind of explain how everything's going on with things in the Olympics and where your role is in all of it?
Right. Let's start off and actually kind of define what modern pentathlon is, because I think a lot of people don't know. And I got to be honest, a year and a half ago, I had to look it up to actually understand what it was. So what modern pentathlon was, it originated in the early part of last century. So right around World War I. And it was designed to be a test of what would make the perfect soldier at that time in history. So back in 1910, 1908, that was considered modern. So that's what they had called it back then. In terms of these days, it's very unmodern. So for a modern soldier to be able to do his job, he had to be able to ride a horse, shoot, be able to fight with a sword if he got knocked off that horse and lost his gun, be able to run away if he lost his sword, and be able to cross a body of water if he came across one.
Right.
So what they had done was, over the years, there's been an adaptation in modern pentathlon where they combine the running with the shooting. So they have what's called a laser run now. So they run 600-meter laps 4 times, and in between they shoot the laser gun at a target. So they kind of combine those two. And then the whole course of time over the past 7 or 8 years, Ian Adamson, the president of World Obstacle, also known as FISO in other parts of the world, it's just an acronym that's in a more European dialect. It's either in Italian or Spanish. I'm not sure, but it's Federation de Internationale of Sports de Obstacle. That's kind of what it stands for.
Right.
So over the last 8 years, Ian Adamson has been working diligently behind the scenes, trying to find a way to get the OCR into the Olympics. For a lot of reasons I can't get into here, there was a lot of hurdles that are almost, unless you're got millions of dollars in your pocket, there's a lot of, like, read between the lines, there's a lot of hurdles you couldn't get past, right? With the IOC.
Yep.
So what they did was they very savvily, they were trying to find an outlet where they could kind of get this in. And modern pentathlon always makes sense because it seemed like that sport, nobody was watching it. It was outdated. It was socioeconomically too expensive because who has the money to live at a pony club and maintain their horses and have the ability to pay for horses to be able to travel all over the world with them and compete in events? It was a whole big mess. So what happened was the kind of silver bullet was in the last Olympics, one of the equestrian competitions, one of the main competitors in modern pentathlon, I don't know who she was, but she got caught on video hitting her horse during like an international competition during the Olympics.
Right.
So it pissed a lot of people off. You could imagine, like, the animal rights groups went nuts. They came at the Olympic Committee really, really hard. And they said, look, you are not going to be an Olympic sport going past 2024 if you don't get rid of this.
Right.
It's got to go. So you need to find an alternative now. You will be able to have modern pentathlon with the equestrian element in the next Olympics, but it will not be in there going forward.
Right. Right.
So they had to look for an alternative. And Ian Adamson had already been working towards creating these relationships with everyone over the past decade. So when that opportunity came up, obstacle course racing being now, it is one of the fastest growing popular sports in the world for participation at all different age levels, particularly with kids. It already has the relationship with Ninja Warrior, which is on NBC. The Olympics are on NBC. Yep. It gets incredible ratings in the short course element, which is kind of ninja. So it made all the sense in the world to make a short course event replace the equestrian part of modern pentathlon and make OCR as that fifth discipline to put it in there. Yeah. So where I came into this, and I've been kind of on the periphery, even though I'm part of, I've been a member of World Obstacle and FISO for years. My ability to actually affect it hasn't been too great. I've always supported them verbally on social, but I haven't been able to dive in there and actually get my boots on the ground. That changed last year in Turkey. So last June, we had the first test event where they brought out and laid out obstacle course racing in front of and with all the people from one of the modern pentathlon World Cup events. Right. So they had this World Cup event already in Turkey. We came in and put a 60-meter short course that had Spartan and Ninja elements to it, combined them for this really cool, fast short course where the modern pentathletes got to practice on it and compete on it alongside the really high-level OCR racers from Europe and Australia. And we put on this great big demonstration where they were able to also contribute and kind of get an idea for what this would be.
Right.
And the younger pentathletes and their coaches absolutely loved it. Yeah. Were there a lot of detractors? Of course. There's some people that absolutely despise the fact that anything is replacing the fifth element of equestrian or modern pentathlon. They don't care what it is. And we were in their crosshairs a little bit for that one because we were the thing coming in. Right. Well, it was so successful that they had another event in the Philippines a month later. I got a chance to go to that. That's a whole nother story.
Yeah.
I almost didn't make it in or out of that country altogether. But we had a very successful event there where we added a 100-meter along with a 60-meter course because it was also the first ever Ninja World Cup. So with all this great action that was happening, okay, so modern pentathlon they have been awesome. I haven't worked with an organization that's been more cooperative than them. And they really wanted it to happen. They rolled out the red carpet. They are absolutely first class. And it's been a great marriage between them and World Obstacle. And then on top of that, the ninja element and a lot of the ninja short course people started coming in. And we started discovering that what a lot of us had thought over the years, that the short course obstacle racing is just made for TV. Right. It is action-packed, it's explosive, it's exciting, it's fast, there's tremendous storylines, and it's incredible on television. So I think you're going to see over the course of the next couple of years, if not over this year, those short course elements being more pronounced in all of obstacle course racing, because that's where all the eyes go. Let's admit, nobody wants to watch television and watch somebody doing this for 90% of an hour program. It's boring. I've tried to sell it on ESPN, and it is tough. So the short course obstacle racing is really a great outlet now, and I really feel it's the future of OCR, not only internationally but in the US.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, I agree with you completely. I mean, you go up to OCR World Championships, go up there for a weekend, and you see that short course that you can partake in, and that's a really short course. Takes you about a minute to get through, but there's lines and people watching it because it is just fast paced. And I mean, it's also why Spartan 2 is bringing more of the obstacles back into the festival area, and where they're kind of grouping things together so that there's that audience base that watches these obstacles actually happen. And so it's not just like the finish line. I think you're kind of seeing that. And to your point, is that kind of what you're seeing, is like the shorter the course, how quickly and fast it can be, that's what's going to really draw in that attention.
Yeah, it draws the attention. It draws in a whole nother group of athletes as well, because now you're getting more of a parkour athlete. You're getting more of a ninja-based athlete. Right. And this is what people want to see.
Yeah.
The 5K, 10K, half marathon elements, those are still a staple and a foundation of what they do. And those aren't going anywhere. I mean, obviously, that's kind of the world that I live in. It's tremendous. But as far as bringing in major sponsorship dollars, and again, this is just my opinion.
Yeah.
You're not going to do it in the way where you're trying to televise 5K, 10K, half marathon events. It's been proven to fail. It just doesn't work.
Right.
But if you look at Ninja Warrior, it's one of the highest rated shows on television. If you go to these events where we have the short courses, that's where everybody wants to watch. It just makes all the sense in the world. Where you get the backlash is the people who have, been around OCR for a really long time, but there was only really one discipline, and that was endurance running. And they've made their name in that, and they've put their heart and soul into it. And then all of a sudden something else comes in and wants to share that space as well. There's some animosity there. There's some like, hey, why are we getting pushed out? What I do is awesome. I love it. You may love it, but it might not bring in money, and it might not be easy on the eyes. So as much as we love the running endurance part of it, it's got to be good for television and advertising at the same time. So we have to find this kind of happy medium that works for everybody.
So you don't think they're going to be bringing back the gladiators, though, right at the end of the races? I know that's been popping up on Instagram and Facebook with the old school when we first started running, and they had the gladiators with the batons at the end. I mean, that was pretty brutal. So I don't see that coming up back in. But boy,
I tell you what, they just put a video. The video that they put out, that was my first ever Spartan race. That was in Tuxedo, New York. They hired like some mercenary bodybuilders to come down. These guys are roided out of their gourds. They're down there with the poles, and they were legit trying to take people out any way they possibly could.
Yeah,
it was insane. So in 2012, it started getting out of hand. And Jonah said, come up to me. He's like, what do you think about the gladiators? Should we get rid of it? I said, listen, it's cool, but when is it a big race going to be decided by somebody getting smashed in the face and they get knocked down? And it's like short course speed skating. Some guy that was like in fourth place all of a sudden runs in because everybody's laid out on the turf.
Yeah.
And he made a good point. He's like, well, why don't we just have the actual finish line where your time ends before you get to the gladiators? So you cross the finish line, you have your time, it's undisputed, and then you get to run through the gladiators just for fun, but it doesn't affect your overall time. I would love to see that again because it was awesome.
Yeah.
It was so much fun.
Imagine that, like the Ryan Atkins coming across, he doesn't win, get unconscious, and Lindsay ends up beating him or something. This past Olympics, I had the opportunity to actually start watching the speed walking marathon. That is hilarious. I mean, that is one that you would think that, not that excitement, but when they go around these loops and you see these people, they're getting penalized, and you hear about stories how the judges are in bushes watching these people, and they jump out of nowhere to like penalize these people that then need to go into the corral. It becomes extremely entertaining. So, but it's that element of surprise.
But you just clicked on something. The main line there was, you want to see the unexpected. And, I grew up watching Evel Knievel.
Yeah.
Right. And there was 2 reasons you watch Evel Knievel. You either wanted to see him make it, or you wanted to see him epically fail.
Yes.
Like, you knew that you were going to see something incredible, or it was going to be a complete train wreck, dumpster fire where, you know, somebody could possibly die. So you just had no idea what was going to happen. So if you're watching like classic OCR, you know, like the Big Bear Beast on, you know, on wherever it is right now, wherever it lives on YouTube, and it's just guys and girls, they're running up a mountain at a really slow pace, and then you have to build up all this anticipation for them to go over monkey bar.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like, okay, they made it. And there's really no excitement around it because you know what's going to happen. They're going to make it. And even if they don't, the worst you're going to see is somebody go, oh, fuck, you know, throw their hands up because they're pissed off.
Yeah.
You know, so there was just no like suspense to it. And
Right.
everything about short course and ninja, when people are going head to head as fast as they can over these huge dynamic obstacles as quickly as possible with the back and forth and where anything could happen, that's exciting. Give me that.
Totally.
And I'll watch.
Now, before we move to the next topic, I have to ask, did you try the short course?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. So I did the 100-meter Ninja World Cup for my age group in the Philippines. I was awake for 21 hours straight. I had worked as an announcer for about 14 hours all day. I was dehydrated. I was a mess. I couldn't even see straight. But I'm like, you know what? It was like 10 o'clock at night when my heat went off. And they give you 2 tries. I'm like, I got 90 seconds in me. Like, I could suck it up for 90 seconds. So I went out, I ripped it as best I could. I wound up taking the silver medal.
Yeah.
So it was freaking awesome.
Yeah.
But I had lost my voice because I've been cheering people on all day, announcing and doing the media stuff. It was insane. It is so much fun. And when you're at that start line, knowing that any little mistake that you make, you're going to go as fast as you can, and you can't make a mistake. The anxiety and the anticipation and the butterflies you have in your stomach are huge. They're real. So it was like a feeling I never had ever going into an OCR course before.
Yeah,
that's
so
incredible.
Cool.
So real quick, kind of bringing everything together, how do you think what you have seen and being in the front lines right now, what do you see is going to kind of, well, one, what's your hope and what's your vision? And really, how do you see what is currently being done in obstacle course racing through all the different, event organizations? How is that going to change? And what's your hope for the next few years going forward?
I hope for the next few years, I think we're already starting to see the change where they're seeing the value in the short courses. And I think giving people as much variety as possible is great. I mean, when Spartan first started, they gave you 3 different distances, right? And then they added the Ultra, what was called the Ultra Beast, and now it's just the Ultra.
Right.
Then they added Stadion, right? And they dabbled with some like time trial, short course events. They started changing things up. They kind of added DECA. Now we're seeing all the short course ninja style obstacle races seeing a lot of popularity. It's bringing in a lot of new faces, bringing a lot of excitement, new sponsors, more money. It's great for the growth of everything. So I would just like to see a comprehensive menu of all these different things offered across the board. And I think there's room for everybody who loves the sport and who's gotten into the sport to have something they like and be able to kind of pick and choose what they want, specialize if they like, or kind of try everything the way they would like to as well. Totally. And having age groups across the board for all of it. But
like on another major topic that kind of burst onto the scene that you were fully engaged in too, was something that was involved with the age group power rankings for this upcoming, Spartan seasons. Just kind of give a little bit of the listeners and viewers just kind of the context is, for the last few years, you typically have selected power rankings for the elite athletes and based off of their accomplishments and such like that. But this year, there's going to be a major focus on age group. And can you just like dabble into why that, what is there still going to be power rankings for elites? Is that going away? Are all the elites just going to jump now into age group because they want to get that recognition? Why are we doing age group power rankings and kind of what is with that whole thing. And I love the whole thing that Spartan was talking about, how there's different generations, TikTok generations, and the Brady Bunchers, and which one is going to really truly take the lead. Because I've been beaten by a few 60 plus age groups before.
Well, you're in the 40s now. So
don't even go there.
new age group.
Yeah.
Oh, you're right there with me now, man.
Yeah, seriously, I know. And it is a tough age group.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm telling you, like, and that's one of those things. The age group is really an amazing thing that I've seen, is that you can get beat by the 6-year-old plus, and then there's the young kids that are 18, 20, thinking they're just going to jump right in, but you see their lack of experience causing them to falter, where they just don't know their bodies yet. And you find that this 30, 35 to 45-year-old age group that really started when OCR really blew up on the scene, be an unbelievable division to be a part of. And I got to run with likes of Kev and gosh,
good luck.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. It's like you see these guys and gals just dominating. Sorry, get back to the question, which is really, what is up with age groups? Why is there so much controversy going on? And what's Spartan thinking about with this age group power rankings? And how can I actually be part of it?
Yeah, I mean, right after kind of COVID went down for 2021, they wanted to add a little extra kind of spice. They wanted to, get some more eyes back on the sport. So the editors at Spartan, they contacted me and they asked me, hey, listen, we're throwing out an idea of having kind of an ESPN kind of monthly power ranking for the elites. So you would rank the elites, and this is just all opinion based, right? So there was some objectivity from who won races and what their background was, and like basic metrics and stuff like that. But I didn't want to sit there. The whole point was not to sit there with a calculator and just churn out, okay, who's the best? Because all you need is like a calculator computer to do that. And it takes all the mystery and the fun out of it. What's fun is conversation. What's fun is different people's opinions. What's fun is like solid arguments, based on somebody's perspective. And every perspective is going to be different. Oh, yeah. So I was on enough that they said, hey, we really like your perspective. Would you do this? So we did it in 2021. Immediately, I was getting hate mail, right? Not from people reading it, but from the athletes that were not placed where they felt they should be. Athletes who said that my ranking of them, which I thought was actually pretty complimentary, because if you're in the top 10, shit, you're in the top 10 and doing pretty good. But they would read between the lines, create their own narrative, and be like, you're affecting my ability to promote my business and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yo, back off. I'm like, it's objective ranking. I'm like, you think the guys at ESPN are you think they care about all the people that they may or may not have been with their opinions? Or the whole point was to create some discussion and some healthy arguments or whatever. But so it went on for 2 years, but probably into the middle of the second year, which was last year, it just I gotta be honest, it got boring. It got stale. It was the same people being placed almost the same way. I had to get overly creative with it to make it any kind of interesting. It wasn't getting the readership that we would hope for, because why? Because more people care about the age groups at this point. Right. There's two fields for the elite. There's the men and then there's the women. It's times 10 for the age groups, because we have 10 age groups for the men, 10 age groups for the women. Every single one of these people lives and dies and breathes the sport. Yep. They are all paying for their races. They're paying for their travel. They're paying for their merchandise. They are not getting the best parking spots. These are people that do it because they absolutely love it. Right. So I said, look, I'm like, what do you think about maybe next year? This is last summer. Start gearing this towards the age group. So we decided towards the end of the year, it was getting even more stale. I'm like, let's just do the last power rankings for 2022 as a salute to the age groups, people who just totally kicked ass all year. Because at that point, now it's very hard to do a power ranking for just individual age group first, right? Because there's so many. There's no way I could get it all done. So I'm like, why don't we just do a salute to the age groupers? And then we decided together, why don't we just combine all the age groups together, the men and the women? So you had 10 different age groups made up of the guys and the girls. And then we pit the age groups against each other. Because if you're racing age group, you know that, just like you said before, I was like, you know, you have the Brady Bunch generation going up against the generation of people who watch like Beverly Hills 90210 against people who grew up watching Barney, you know, and like you have all these different generations. Are you the Barney generation?
Oh, she is.
Me too.
Yeah, totally.
Yes, I was a Barney.
We got generation fighting over here. So yeah.
So when I was thinking up the names, I was trying to make them where they weren't like, you know, like they're kind of tough. Like I think some of like the 40, the 50 to 55, that's kind of like the Top Gun generation. The first Top Gun.
Living through the 80s. Yeah. No, it's awesome.
So every generation has their own pop culture and their own kind of personality, but everybody's the same all across age groups, knowing that they all have camaraderie in their age group, but in every single age group, and then age groups going against each other, it is a knife fight.
Yeah.
It is a knife fight competition for every single one of those podium spots, whether you're 14 to 17, 30 to 34, or 60 plus. Everybody's putting their heart and soul into it. There's all these tremendous rivalries inside the age group with people going at it each year. Every year, just like this year, people are graduating out of one age group and others are coming up into another. So now you have all these new rivalries with all these new athletes, and they're trying to figure each other out. And if you go someplace else regionally, you got to battle with whoever's the best regional person from New York. You got to go down to like Florida or Colorado and see the badasses that are out there. So the storylines are endless. There's 10 times more eyes on it, at least. And people are way more passionate about it. So we created kind of a fun format that would be easy to follow all year. So the next one, we did the preview last month. I've already collected the data from the race that we just had recently in California. The next one's coming up will be Arizona and Jacksonville. Those are all going to come together, and those will be out at the very end of February, beginning of March. And we'll see who's going to be the top age group. Is it going to be, my guess is it's going to be I think it's going to be my age group. I think it's going to be those 45 to 49 Saved by the Bell generations, really going toe to toe with the who did I have in the 30 to 34? I'm forgetting. What was that generation?
That might have been the Barney generation.
The Barney generation.
I mean, Tana is the Barney generation.
But I didn't call it Barney. I gave it something a lot better. Oh,
the Hoodwink?
Hogwarts.
Yeah. The Hogwarts. Yes. Hogwarts.
It's that Harry Potter generation.
Yeah.
So the Harry Potters and the Saved by the Bells. Yeah. They're going to go head to head. You know? Yep. Zach Forrest is going to break out the cell phone.
Break out a cell phone.
Harry Potter's going to have his wand, and they're going to go off.
Yeah, exactly. Go Jesse Spano, all right? I'll tell you. But no, I mean, that's exactly what it is. And I think that's kind of that clever thing that we're talking about, is bringing like almost like a new blood to the sport. And I think that's kind of what really revved it all up. And again, you're going to have those haters, because we've already seen the buzz on the elite side to be like, well, now should I do age group to get that buzz? Because they want that recognition. But you put it exactly correct. I mean, you have people that are living and dying, that are literally tattooing their bodies Spartan, Savage, and everything. And they love the community that it's helped, because you know, for people like myself and Lynn's, like in yourself, Kev, it's like, you know, you get to that time where what is life all about? And Spartan and OCR as a whole has changed a lot of people's lives and ripped them off the couches and really got people moving again, because it used to just be 5Ks and marathons and people didn't know how to get started. And now you're seeing corporate organizations getting involved. You're seeing people that never would even try something do it, because like the way we say it is like, the wall is not just the wall. The wall is the problem in your life. The wall is something that literally changes you. And then once you do a race in any organization, it literally changes your mindset and you do things differently. And again, we have to thank the whole entire community, including yourself, who have been such an advocate in long-standing in this sport, to really, you know, just say this is going to be the evolution of where people go to live happy and healthier lives. So no, that's pretty impressive. Yeah. Now, Lindsay, do you have any?
No, I mean,
this has been fun.
I mean, Lindsay, you could attest to this. When you go into an event now, all the buzz is about the age groups. I mean, right now you could barely fill the start line with enough elites to actually, you know, have a race actually look like a race. Like, how many races we've been to where there's, you know, 4 women at the start line of the elite wave, and there's like 8 guys. I saw that.
Yep.
I
Numerous
saw
times.
that at the overwhelming majority of
Yep.
most of the races I was at. And we're talking the grassroots ones, right? The ones that are not the big major series races. These are the grassroots.
Yep. Georgia.
When Spartan first started, and when I first started doing it in 2011, I mean, it was one competitive group. It wasn't even called Elite Wave. It was just called like the competitive group. And then when it was called Elite, I mean, it was all women in their wave. And after a few years, after 2012, they started an all women's wave. But there was 150 people deep in there. For the men, it was like 300, 350 deep. And then when the age group started, all, with the outliers, without those complete like cyborg savages, like the people who ran like college cross country and were like pro triathletes and stuff like that, you take them out of it, everybody else was just kind of fighting to see where they were in their age group anyway. Yep. They really had no shot at the podium. So think if you went into a race and there's 350 people in your wave and there's 3 podium spots available. Well, what's your next realistic goal? Like, hey, I want to win my age group. I want to be top 10 in my age group.
Yep.
So back then, everybody would run back to results and take their phone and they'd screenshot where they were in their age group. And that's what they put on social media. And that's what they were super proud of. And then over the years, Spartan saw the value in this and said, hey, listen, like these people are competing really hard just to be at the top of their age group. Let's give it to them. Yeah. So it started with the Masters in 2015 through 2017. And that was like the first official age group. It was just 40 plus stuff. It was one age group.
Yeah.
And then still people are still taking a cell phone shot to wherever else age group they went in. In 2018, they added 6 age groups and pulled out the Masters and made it to the 6. And then the following year, they were really smart and they added 4 more to make it 10. And so now you see it's only a certain amount of people that want to go run Elite. There's so many people in that Elite wave that get beat by the age groupers by the overall time when you look at the standings later. Yeah. So when you're looking at the depth in the age groups, you're seeing consistently fast times that would be in the top 10 of Elite. Right. So the competition has just gone through the roof.
Yeah.
And with the lack of competition now in the Elite age group, the Elite wave, where it's like, hey, yeah, I got an Elite podium, but I only raced 5 people.
Yeah.
It doesn't have the gravitas. It doesn't have the prestige that it once had, 3-4 years ago. The prestige and the gravitas and the importance and the passion for the age groups now has gone up. Yeah. And I think a lot of the Elite wave people see that. I think they can appreciate that as much as the people who are running Elite see something like, it's kind of sad in a way to watch that kind of like being diminished, but it's happened. Nobody made it happen. It just kind of evolved like that on its own, and I think where a lot of the controversy came, and I got to admit, when I saw it, I got pretty pissed off. I got kind of heated. It rubbed me the wrong way with some of the comments. Looking back on it now, I could see their point of view and kind of certain things, and everybody has their own perspective on how they look into this. So, I'll cut people some latitude on that. But the fact of the matter is, if any of the people in Elite, they want to come and join the intense competition that is going on in the age group, you just got to say it the right way.
Totally.
Don't say, hey, I'm going to do this as an FU because we see like the money being pulled out of our area and going to these people. So we're going to go over there to kind of like just like plant our flag and say FU. Yeah. It just wasn't cool the way it was done, but I could see from their point of view why they were upset. Yeah. And that I do want to acknowledge. Yeah. But at the same time is the people who are making this sport work and have made it work from day one are the open wave racers, and now it's the age groupers. Yep. Those are the people that are driving the money. Those are the people that are supporting all the great things we have to have. There should be no apologies from anybody in the age group to say that their hard-earned money, the money that they're paying, is now being invested back into them so they could have some great competition.
Yeah.
The age groupers and the open wave people deserve that. They're the ones that make the sport work. They're the heart and soul.
Yep. I love it.
Yep.
Love it. Now we could talk to you for hours, but we'll definitely wrap it up. It's for today. We're gonna have you back on to talk more OCR, and we look forward to talking to you in the future. And thank you so much.
We gotta talk some tile and some Spartan nutrition sometime.
Yes, that's definitely the next topic. So thank you so much for taking the time, Kevin, today to talk with us, and we'll definitely have you back soon.